All right. Hello, my name's William. We're going to talk about the D6 Italian, the most annoying thing I've ever seen until I figured out it's actually not so horrible. If you're a Deutsche Gambit player, you'd castle here. You got the two bishops here, and you're thinking, hell yeah, just play knight f6, motherfucker. Let's get d5 going. But instead, they play d6, and you think, motherfucker, this is going to be horrible. But it's really not so bad if you play this specific line that I showed you. And I've been studying this for like 3 or 4 hours, probably more over the course of my entire chess lifetime. It's probably been like 10 hours. I figured out exactly how to solve this. So basically, it comes down to h3, stopping this bishop from developing. And if this bishop is on c8, it's generally not so bad for you. Basically, it's when this bishop pin starts happening that they get into more complex lines that are annoying and symmetrical and boring and drawish. But if you say, hey, I'm just gonna make a pawn move, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, I do, then it's a better thing. So they'll usually play knight f6 here, which is like, okay, all right, I'm gonna, I'm an idiot. I played Italian d6, so it's like, I'm gonna just get the, you play knight c3, or sorry, you play c3 here. They can take or not take. They can take or just castle. In any case, you're playing d4 immediately. So you're still playing, if you're, Deutsch, you still get to explode in the center. Let's just say this takes for the time being. You go d4, ex d4, and cx d4, and the bishop's backing up. Bishop goes here. This is how it normally goes. It goes here. I think this is -3 or something. This really isn't a good move. This is, in fact, a really bad move. What the fuck is the bishop doing here anyway? But it's like, hey, I just want to trade this thing off or something. I don't want to go b6. I'm trying to get you discombobulated and confused here. But I think you should just go d3. In fact, I think it's the best move. And once you go d5 here, this knight, of course, is attacked. Knight e5. Then knight takes, then d takes, and you've got this position, queen a4. And it's like, even with other times that this bishop is on b4 here, it's like, this queen is really, or sorry, this king is really, it's still in the center, and it's dangerous to have it in the center. And this is just a very common theme here. You're forking these two pieces. And, you can go bishop d7, queen e7, whatever. You're just going to take this, and you're just up a bishop for nothing. Your bishop is behind this pawn, but it's still able to do things once this pawn moves, and it's very similar. This pawn is not useless here. It's really, it's a piece of material you can move, and it's blocking these pawns from advancing. It is a hamper on black's position. This knight looks active. There's really nothing it can do. In fact, most of these squares just kill it instantly. The only place it can go here. It can only move back. So, I mean, this is really a terrible position, even if the bishop hadn't just been murdered by accident. So if you see this move, don't be afraid. Be very happy, because they've just, they're walking into this, and this is just totally winning. So let's go back here. Most of the time they're not going to play something that stupid. They'll try to do some Rambo shit like this, or they'll just go back to b6. Let's go with b6 first, actually. And you go rook e1 here. And most of the time, I believe they'll play knight d5, or sorry, d5. And this is actually, you should be really happy about this as well. Just take the bishop, hang it, and you just, you're forking this. This is a double attack. Black can't do anything. Queen d8 is most common. You take with the rook, not the knight. Give him some check. Fuck with him a little bit. Knight e7 is a mistake. You just, double up, and then you've got this situation, and they're like, oh crap, let me try and cover it with bishop e6. You just go bishop e5, which looks crazy, but in fact, it's not so bad. Black will usually just castle. You would castle anyway, I believe. take here, takes, and, this is a pin. There's nothing that can be done. Queen c5 generally, and takes, and I even analyze this a bit deeper. You take the extra pawns, so now you're 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You're equal in pawns now. Rook a to e8, and just takes, and even here, you're very happy to trade this rook off. If he trades it off, then this is a totally winning endgame. You're 2 knights up, and it's not going to be equal pawns for long. So that's really, you shouldn't be afraid of that at all. Let's go back here. There was a fork in the road here. Okay, yeah, exactly. Bishop e6. I don't remember if this is, in fact, this is, I know for sure it's not better, because it's just simply a pin, or sorry, it's a fork. So, you have this pin here, and it's forked with this knight, and, what can black do with castle? Even throw in bishop g5 here, and I think it is a good move. Nobody plays this, but I think it's one of those situations the computer does come up with the best thing, even if it's not a very human move. You're just getting a tempo on the queen. If they go f6, which I might do in this position, you just take with the rook, and you come into this, and essentially you've basically, their pawn structure is wrecked, and you can do some complicated shit. Like, this is a complicated mating pattern. You could take this, but this is just more complicated, and I put this in to challenge myself. But you really can just take this pawn here, and it's completely fine. But yeah, this is totally just busted completely. You're up a full knight. Black's pawn structure, he has more pawns, but they're ripped to shreds. You're taking this pawn, you're checkmating if he's not careful. Maybe I haven't analyzed this checkmate. Yeah, so you got these 2 rooks on the 7th. Obviously this is very dangerous. What the fuck can white do, or black do here? You're checkmating essentially with this if black isn't careful. And also, yeah, this knight is coming into the attack. That's a hanging pawn. It can even get closer into it. So I think in most situations you'll actually go knight d5 here. Although I don't know the exact reason why off the top of my head, but yeah, it's extremely dangerous for black, and just really just not a problem for you at all. So I think you really shouldn't be afraid of that. So I believe these are the 2 most common moves. It's either just walking into a fork, or going back with the knight and leading to this sort of double up battery. I think even sometimes it comes a Laken's gun or whatever, but regardless, this is absolutely nothing to be afraid of, and you're going into a completely winning endgame. So it's like this is a good. I hope if anyone has ever tried to analyze this themselves, hopefully you're getting like a happy flutter in your heart from this, because I swear to God, this opening is so goddamn boring. If you don't play it right, if you just kind of like play chess, it can be super boring, super symmetrical, not sharp at all. But with this, little h3 and then c3 move at the beginning, it leads into this stuff, and black is making a lot of common mistakes, and these are common mistakes these are mistakes that are actually happening in real games. So it's not like just computer shit here. I don't believe in doing that stuff anyway. So that, we're talking about, this is bishop b6. This is the most common move. And you go rook e1, d5. This is common shit. They're walking into extremely dangerous things just from most common moves. So yeah, I'd absolutely recommend this. I believe you start playing like this, you're going to get better games. But okay, so I believe there's a third move here. That's bishop b6, of course, the most common move. And then let's address this Rambo shit, because I don't believe this is actually technically a bad move. Knight x d4 here. Give me 1 second. One second here. Knight x d4. Okay, so yeah, you recapture with a knight, and then queen f6, I believe, is the most common. Yeah, just saying, okay, second attacker. But you go bishop e3, and this is, a little bit this is reminding you of the Deutsch Gambit, where I believe knight takes. Yeah, knight takes, and you got this position, in the Deutsch Gambit, where it's kind of like, you have a bunch of pieces here, and black really can't do anything. I believe that just neutralizes all of black's initiative. Let me go ahead and analyze this on Lichess. I thought I had this analyzed, but let's see. Very, very uncommon for some reason. Let's look at this. Yeah, most people go b6, ex d5. I'm not sure we covered that. That might be a hole. No. Right. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, this Rambo shit. This is 1,000 games. This is 400 games. D5. You know, more games. You got the Rambo shit here. This is only 5 games, and I think I just might have seen this in my game because it's like a human-like move. But you just go takes, and then Queen f6 here. That's a bad move. It's already, you know. It's losing another point for black here. And what are you going to do? It's just, let's take a look at the material. Yeah, so you're just up a full piece. And there's really no reason to analyze that further. I guess that's why I didn't analyze it further. It's just because you're just ahead, and all of your pieces... I mean, you've got a pretty substantial lead in development, massive central control with your actual pieces. You know, not even pawns. All your pawns have been annihilated. But like, the point is, like, I would so much rather be white in this position. My God, you know, takes, and you know, I guess he's trying to do something here. But you know, in this game, would you rather be black? I don't think so. Losing material. And, you know, engine moves, sure, like, this is a little non-human what's going on here, but the point is, you know, like, for actual players, this is going to be easy. You just trade down. I would never make that move, what just occurred, but, excuse me, this, you know, and what do we got here? Like, we've got a passed pawn. You're just promoting, you know, and it's like... Black does have a little bit of pressure. These are passed pawns, you know. I'm sorry, yeah, these two are passed pawns, and you know they are coming, and they're connected. But you know, as long as you're not in bullet, you know, you're finding ways to deal with this. So yeah, I believe that's everything. I'm not sure if I missed anything. I hope I didn't, because I want this to be a comprehensive refutation of this. Maybe. So we just took, did we do takes here? Yeah, and we analyzed this. Let's go over the other one. I believe this is actually more common, although it says it's 1/312. I think my ratings are too high. Normally this will happen more. And let's just go through this very quickly. Let's see if okay, yeah, we got a lot of moves to go through here. Right. Okay, so d4 as usual. This is coming out of just castling on move 6 for black, and you just go d4, ex d4, cx d4, bishop b6. I mean, that's really, really common. You just go knight c3. This is a complicated move, knight c3. After you go bishop b6, it's hard to explain, but you want this knight here to do things. This is a really good place for your knight in the setup that black has going here and the way these games play out. It's just really important to have your knight on c3. So I absolutely recommend, I completely recommend on move 9 putting your knight to c3 if black goes into this. And there, I mean, there's a lot of, this might look like a lot of ways, but half of these are really bad. I don't exactly know why rook e8 is bad. But there is a reason. I'd gone into this, and that doesn't even seem worth mentioning. This is just a fork. 7% just play a fork here. Like they literally just get destroyed by this. And you do have to be a little bit careful because it's not so simple. Knight goes to, you know, the Palario a5, but you can just go back to bishop d3. Looks, you know, a little bit passive. There's no reason to do some Rambo shit here, although I suppose you could, but I don't think it's as sound as simply going back here. The knight is offsides, you know, Jesus, b4 is coming, and there's really not much to do. I think black's best try is bishop d7, and you're just trapped here. Knight c6, maybe just trying to do some things, and maybe there's even a reason why black has to double their pawns there. I don't know, but you've basically, you've got your piece. It's not over, but it's pretty damn good. So I don't think you should be afraid of this. Is, like I said, 7% of the time they'll literally go bishop e6 and fork themselves. This is true. This is true shit. So queen e7. I think this is very very common actually. Yeah, bishop g5, h6. Knight d5, right? Okay, so knight d5. I mean, you've got. Sorry, the chess book is bugging. Basically, black doesn't have any time to take this. You're just gonna take, and black has to move this queen. It keeps it on the same diagonal, of course, as this one, but you're going here, and then after knight takes, you got that check. Black is gonna take back. Otherwise, he's just down a piece. Takes, and you've got bishop h6, and this is actually quite uncomfortable. Like the queen, this is already pretty dangerous. You get your queen here, it's checkmate. So and black actually, this doesn't even have a tempo to himself here. He has to move this, or else it's even worse. You go rook e8, and you would continue with the not so intuitive move knight h4 here if you're a little bit lower rated. Not really know, but you're just clearing. It's clearance, getting your queen into it, and also this isn't a bad place for your knight either. It's just pointing towards king. All the pieces are over here. Basically, only major piece that's on black's king side is this rook, which is completely useless to him. This is a wall separating him from all his friends. And what's the normal thing? Just rook takes here. I mean, it's intuitive. He's getting some more space, although it doesn't really work because this is cut off by the bishop. But I believe there's a smart move here. Yeah, queen h5. No need to try and get checks or threaten this rook directly and try to take that. You just go queen h5, and there's just too much pressure here. It's not immediately apparent, of course, what's going on if you're a bit lower rated, but black can't do anything here. These pawns are horrible, and maybe if there was only one pawn it wouldn't be so disastrous, but there's two pawns doubled, and it's not good at all. Queen e7, I believe, is the most common. And this, by the way, this is pinned. This pawn is pinned here on f7, so you can literally step here with the queen, and I mean, black only has one square, and you're checkmating here. So it's really, really, really not good to even go into any of this, because black is not playing. He's playing what he can, but he really can't play much here. It's just kind of white has more time, and white has a bigger attack. And I mean, what do you play here? Everything leads to checkmate. So it's sorry, that's wrong, of course, but everything leads to checkmate. So I want to actually analyze what that is, because what the hell, d5 just seems intuitive, but. Let's see here. Checkmate in 10. Taking with the bishop, okay. And, right, d5 is a pretty bad mistake, because that pin is dissolved. And, I guess that's bad. That's not bad at all, actually. But, for bishop goes here, you're taking with the bishop. I believe, most humans would take back with the rook or the pawn, and you've just got a mate in 2 here, so yeah, not good at all. So if you this knight, again, we'll get more into that, but if queen e7, this really isn't doing enough, and it's going to have to move back to d8. This is basically a waste of a tempo if you play correctly, and you will play correctly. It's very easy to remember. Bishop just goes here, and trying to counterattack fails completely to knight d5, and you got to go back to queen d8 and it leads to this really, really bad position. So I wouldn't be afraid at all of queen e7. Even, queen moves, you look, oh my god, what's he trying to do with that queen? Nothing. So fork and that. Now we got two more. H6. Early H6 is kind of strange. It transposes to some other positions I'm not sure we covered. Rook e8, this looks familiar. Bishop f4. Why it goes to bishop f4, I'm not sure. There are other places to go, but basically you just, you've got textbook center here. There's a lot going on, and you control it all. Bishop a5, and queen b3 is a central try here, because, rook e1, rook e8 is just a little bit, like this move, queen h6 and rook e8, these are moves that often come together, and they're really not so incredible. H6, I guess, isn't so bad, but it's wasting a tempo, and rook e8 just tends to follow because he's trying to get some central pressure down here, I guess, but it's just going to fail. And bishop f4, that's helping you respond to things because, black obviously won't always go for this. Sometimes he'll move the knight or something, but bishop a5 it's very easy. Queen b3, and then you've obviously got this big pressure here on f7 forking, and you even got checkmate threats if black isn't careful. For whatever reason, black will often do this, especially just once he's committed to this idea. For whatever reason, he goes into this. So I would recommend just taking the pawn. There's no reason to dissolve this unless I'm absolutely out of my mind. Oh, yep, I am. Sorry about that. So he takes. Don't take it yet. First check here. Even though this is hanging, he's got to respond to check. King f8. That's a really bad mistake. Because then you allow the bishop to take, and you've just got checkmate usually. Black really just doesn't know what's going on. But the most common thing is just h8, and then you can actually ignore this rook, and even though this is a double attack, you'll find that it's actually quite favorable, and you'd prefer black to take that because it's it leads into an actual winning idea. So takes, and then rook x e4, knight x e4. Now you can just stay calm. This is centralized, indefensible. Rook essentially can't move this pawn. You're just going to get taken. So you go rook e1, and most of the time, just go back to knight f6 is what they do. You go knight h4 again, which happens to be. It's a theme here in this opening, h4, and this is a big hole. And knight e7. They're eyeing that hole. They want to defend that, which makes a lot of sense, but it just doesn't make any sense here in reality because you take with the rook. And what can black do here? Black can't take that queen, black can't take the rook with the queen because it just ends with this, and this is just horrible. Look at material. You have a queen for a rook. This is completely winning. This is pinned here. You can literally just trade no matter what black does. And it's just completely over and simple. Let's take a look at the analysis. Actually, I want to see because what the hell can black do? Black goes here. Let's see, queen b1. Interesting. So you've got checkmate threats. You've got checkmate threats here, I suppose. And this is just winning. There's no defending yourself from this. So yeah, this is just really bad, and I'm happy to get this. Very happy to get this. You shouldn't be afraid. Let the intuitive moves tempt black, and just win with your plans, because this happens to be the spiky, dangerous opening. That I was quite happy to show you that comes from d6, because all this horseshit started because of d6, and we were able to get a good position from even that. So let's go back. We just went over h6, which often goes to rook e8, and that's actually the reason why I didn't put it in here, because it just transposes all the time. So Really, that's just two branches of the same idea. We went over knight takes, did we not? I'm not sure. I think we actually didn't. That's the last one to go over. Knight takes e4 on move 9. So knight takes here. This is saying it's a fine move. I'm not sure it's a fine move. Let's see. Knight recaptures d5. That's a fork. And okay, yeah, right. This actually leads to an even position, I believe. You just take with the bishop, take with the queen, then knight goes back to c3. This is probably the worst case scenario. There's really nothing in this position for both sides, but as we can see, like, there's a lot of places for black to go wrong. But if black goes here, you're gonna have to play some chess. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a lot. I would say just get your rook to the open file and do some certain things. But this could really go either way for white for either side. And in this position, unfortunately, black black finds the right moves most of the time. Most of the moves are easy for him to find. It's the same thing for white, but it's just this is unfortunately what you're gonna get. 2% of the time is people who play perfectly, and that is what it is. But that's, I think, the only really bad case of that. And you got to remember, this whole opening is from D6 in the Italian, so it's like you don't make any of these moves wrong. Not to oversell myself, but I'm just saying, like, most of the time in the D6 Italian, it's fucking boring as shit. And with this move order, it's going to be less boring. Just with that particular move sequence, it does get a little stale. But most of the time, this is going to be a fine opening. You're going to have a lot of fun with this, and I'm happy to share it with you. I'm half sharing it with me as well. I want to be able to look at this video later and think about my own thought processes here. So hopefully you found it useful. And I don't know, maybe if there's a little bit of support for this, I'll do more more soon. This thing is called Chessbook, which I'm using here. I'm not sponsored, but if you're wondering what the hell this software is, it just helps you record your moves. I wouldn't recommend overusing it. Definitely, make sure to analyze your games and watch YouTube videos and do things like this, because it's not all about spaced repetition or whatever. You got to understand the positions, but it's a good tool basically when you're having an off day and you just kind of want to brainlessly practice some moves. But okay, yeah, that's the D6 Italian, in my opinion, pretty much refuted. So hope you liked it, and I guess subscribe if you want to. Okay, see ya.